Not another step further or the PS4 gets it. Wow, you're over dramatic. Well, was I supposed to come out on the PS4? I feel so betrayed. Oh, I'm going to play the PC version now. Oh, come on! I'm worked really hard to fix this up. I've got to say, I wasn't expecting this game to be this good. It surpassed my expectations. It got me playing the game where I completely forgot what time it was, and that don't usually happen to me. Very often. Detroit Become Human was developed by Quantic Dream. It's like an interactive sci-fi movie game what takes place in the future of 2038. The campaign is about androids becoming self-aware, what's called deviant, which is breaking their programming and having emotions. And there's a growing mistrust of androids where some of them have malfunctioned and harmed humans and taken people's jobs, so there's a lot of tension brewing in this world of humans and androids. And I do like the world that it's set up here. It's not a happy world, it's more like reality what it would be if we went down this path. You play as 3 androids, Kara the Guardian, who helps this little girl get away from her abusive father and trying to live a life of freedom and peace with her adopted daughter. And then there's Connor the detective, who's trying to solve why androids are going deviant with his partner Hank, who's basically a broken person, who works for the Detroit Police Department. And it's no secret that Connor is my favourite protagonist, where he seems to have the most growth as a character, where he has dark moments, badass scenes and comedy scenes. I found it really hard not to like the character. And the other is Marcus, the freedom fighter, who wants freedom for all androids, and it's up to you if you want to go down the most peaceful route to achieve this goal, or do you want to start a war to free your fellow androids. It's really up to you which way you want to go. The controls are not this game's strong point. They felt a bit clunky to me, mainly on the movement. And sometimes the camera angle can be annoying when entering into a different room. It made me turn around my character and go back out of the room where I just came from. Where it's a fixed camera angle, although I could change to a different camera point in the area with the button. After a while though, I just stopped using it and just used the analyze mode to set up the first person camera to where I wanted it. There's an analyze mode, well that's what I think it's called, but I could be making up my own name here, and it also has missions and objectives in them for you to see. And this is where you can see your missions and objectives. And you can recreate crime scenes by rewinding them in the Android software, and at certain points of the campaign it can predict paths for you to take in the Android software, which I thought was a really good idea. There are button interactions like in other Quantic Dream games, what sets up the tutorial at the start of getting me to do normal everyday tasks, to get me to use the key interactions like serving food, washing the dishes, and mopping the floor, and so on. I hate doing these things at my house. Why would I want to do them in the game? There's one part of this game where you're in this house clearing it up, and this bloke is sitting down, watching football and smoking something. And if you didn't know any better and was out of the room or something like that, or had a family member outside the room, yeah, it wouldn't really sound that right. Although it can make an excellent repellent. There are QuickTime events and a great deal of the game is filled with this, and I'm not really a big fan of QuickTime events, but here I'm glad to say that they've done it right. I actually got my heart racing at times where I was trying to hit the right combination of buttons and watch what was going down at the same time, trying to get my Android through it. It's like, please make it through, please make it through. And you can actually fail these QuickTime events. The game opens up with a bang, and it's one of the best that I've seen in a long time of you being an android trying to negotiate for a girl's safety from an android what's gone nuts. And the game says, right, the stakes are high, and how are you going to handle it? And I had to think of my response very quickly, where there's a bar telling me what's going down, and this is just one example of many choices like this in this game, which I love. And that's what this game does really well, is your choices and consequences to your decisions with branching paths. Even the small decisions can make a big impact to your story, what I wasn't really expecting to see. And when I completed the chapter, it showed my choices and roadmap and all the different outcomes for me to find, and that does make me curious now of what other conclusions there are. And if one of my androids died, it's the end of that character apart from Connor to a certain point. However, it did make me sit on the edge of my seat, hoping that my character would make it through it. And after completing this vid, I'm going to go back to the chapter menu and explore all the other different outcomes and paths what I can find, and I like that the game allows me to do that. And I heard that you could kill them all off, so I've got to find that one. The main missions of this game is nicely done, where it switches you back and forth between the characters, especially when it had me play as Marcus, marching through the streets in protest for freedom for androids, as the humans watch you and losing control of their androids as they join you on the march. I felt like that was a brilliant moment of the game. Or when the androids at the abandoned amusement park do something nice for the girl that Kara's caring for, I found the main missions of the storyline that amazing and well written, and every character has their moment.
The little one can climb on board. The carousel is about to begin!
It's the first time I've seen her smile.
She hasn't had much to smile about lately.
The side objectives is optional, yet I did them because I did not want to miss anything out where it can affect the dialogue options. And you know me, I had to find every dialogue what I could. So I was searching every nook and cranny and doing every objective so I could unlock all these dialogues. There's a sort of friendship thing on how much a character likes you or dislikes you, and a world state of public opinion and Jericho's opinion, which is the android's home. So there is quite a few opinions going on here. The level designs, I like these stage set areas, are well crafted, although there are invisible walls for me to fight every time. But damn, the stages look good, and the three androids sort of cross paths in the campaign, yet the character with Connor and Hank in the club did make me laugh a lot.
Welcome to Eden Club.
Connor, the fuck are you doing?
Coming, Lieutenant.
There are magazines and TV news stories what tells you more about the world and its lore if you're into that. These magazine tablets are really wasteful. You only get a couple of pages and they're useless after that. And there's really nothing what I want to read in them. But this one I would definitely look at. The game can be emotional at times, especially in the cutscenes, and the scenes themselves are extremely well done with the lighting and the emotions on the people's faces. There was not a point where I thought that this looks weird or out of place. I could tell that there was so much care that went into these cutscenes, and it really does show. As for characters, I think they're extremely well done. Everyone has a personality that I came across in the story, except there's one that stands out the most to me is Hank, because he was well written and the actor did a bang up job. And I just didn't like to annoy him. I was really trying badly to be his friend, and I didn't like that red arrow at all with Hank, and it actually made me care for this character.
I don't want to alarm you, Lieutenant, but I think your friends are engaged in illegal activities.
Well, everybody does what they have to get by. As long as they're not hurting anybody, I don't bother them.
This Pedro, he was proposing illegal gambling. Am I right?
Yeah,
And you made a bet.
yeah.
The voice acting is remarkable, even though there is a little cringy dialogue here and there, yet there was a lot more of that in their past games, like Heavy Rain. So I think in this title they have improved a lot in the dialogue writing, to the point that I almost didn't notice any of the cringy dialogue. So I've definitely got to give credit when credit's due. It improved by miles from Heavy Rain. I found the graphics very impressive and amazing lighting, to the point that I've got to say that this is one of the best graphical games that I've seen. It's mainly down to that lighting. It's like, I was surprised by the soundtrack and how well it goes with the game, and each character and the set stages. It drew me into the game even more by how good the soundtrack is. Yeah, I won't listen to the soundtrack on a stereo or anything like that, or buy it, but it does really go well with the game and set up the atmosphere, and it really did drew me in. Did it drew me in or draw me in? The title screen, I'll be honest, it did creep me out a bit. Nevertheless, I think that Quantic Dreams did a remarkable job with the title screen. And that's not usually something what I say about games, that they do a brilliant job on a title screen. That's got to be a first. Especially where this android talks to you and displays emotions as I progress throughout the story and comments on it. Then at a point there's this weird survey what this android tries and gets me to do on the title screen, and yes, I was a bit weirded out by it and the questions that it got me to answer. And I did have to think about my response to these questions, when usually I'll go on autopilot with questionnaires like this. Especially when it said in a survey, would you have a relationship with a robot? And all what popped into my head was, ain't people been doing that for years anyway? The oddest thing is that this game kept on switching off my HDR settings in the Windows PC settings, and that was a first for me. I never had this before. In-game settings, yes. In Windows settings, no. And I did have a couple of game crashes. I was surprised that this game did make me think about it after completion, and how it kept on going round and round and round in my mind about the story that it just told me. It got me thinking about it for some time, and that is a rare case in games for me. For how long the game is, I clocked on 16 hours, however I was taking my time and exploring every area that I came across, although I can easily see it done in about 10 hours or so. So in the end, I think that Quantic Dreams outdid themselves with its title, and I enjoyed seeing all the outcomes to my decisions, especially at the end. So if you played it, what do you think of Detroit Become Human? Leave it in the comments below. Until next game, I'm off. Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Worth the 2 hours waiting.